Nemestikov. Chased by Parenzo. Nemestikov keeps going.
Makes a return pass up top. Scores! Rasmus for scoring with a rocket. I never thought he would get the line and scores! Rasmus restored it!
Now the far side. Banks it in front. They score! Rasmus Ristolainen, I think, has his first career hat trick in the National Hockey League. Leaves it there, got it back, won a goal. It's a hat trick for Jeff Skinner. Into it, Jeff Skinner. He'll cut and score! What a goal! Another hat trick for Jeff Skinner.
With Geinsberg, if they make it. Or check to Geinsberg. They do! Geinsberg scores! It's
Bailey with a game on his stick. Bailey to a posto. And he scores!
Husky, who shot us in wide of Ryan Miller. Nichushkin dropped it back, score! What a feed from Nichushkin to Tyler Seguin!
Welcome to this week's edition of NHL Unfiltered. I'm your host, Jake DiMisa.
And I'm Dominic Arbolino.
And it's a very special edition of the show, as we're going to talk about who's been naughty and who's been nice.
Patrick Kane has definitely been nice lately, as he's just been keeping up his high rolling this year. Points on points on points. 26 games now. It's phenomenal.
It's been incredible for him. He's now 1 point away from tying Sidney Crosby's longest point streak. And obviously, he's halfway to Gretzky with 52.
Yeah.
But play like this, he has a chance.
Yeah. Patrick, it's just all the news now, all you see, on Instagram, you see posts from SportsCenter and stuff. It's all Patrick Kane doing this, doing that. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. And hockey's not really televised on SportsCenter a lot, but this Patrick Kane streak is finally getting them to really cover it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've actually seen hockey start the show a couple times because of Patrick Kane.
Mm-hmm.
And enough with the whole Barry Melrose segment. I mean, you need more than that for hockey.
Yeah.
But Kane, obviously, he's made his line mates better. You got Anisimov, who's been playing well.
Yeah.
And now you have Artemi Panarin, who's a big leader in the Calder race.
Yeah. And that Saad trade is really working out for them. I mean, Saad's not doing too well in Columbus, and now you have...
Anisimov has played well, yeah.
Yeah.
And Panarin has 29 points in 31 games. Besides, Dylan Larkin and Jack Eichel, he's probably the leader in the Calder race right now, and I have to say, Patrick Kane's the reason he's been doing it. Yeah. 45 points for Kane in all the games he's played this year, and it's just been a great year. I think he has a chance at the Hart Trophy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Blackhawks have the 38 points this year, and they're 8 behind the Dallas Stars, who are the top team in the league right now. But put them in the Pacific Division, they're in second place and only 2 games out of the top.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Kings have 40 points and have double-digit leads on everyone, so it's pretty...
But everyone else in that division has struggled. I mean, you have Vancouver, who's in third place right now with a losing record. And then you have Edmonton and Calgary, who really started the season badly. Calgary obviously made the playoffs last year. Yeah. Edmonton hasn't been good in years. But they've both won 5 in a row. Yeah. And looking at Edmonton, if they keep playing like this and Connor comes back, they're a playoff team.
Yeah, they're a playoff team. And, now you have the Ducks who dropped the last, who, again, just their season falling apart.
Yeah, we talked about them last week, and they were in 6th last week, all the way down to last now. Yeah, even though it's only 1 spot in the Western.
Yeah, like we talked about last week also with Frederik Andersen, still not up to this play. But then you have Gibson, we talked about last week, where it's got potential, but got to let it. Getzlav's doing what he's doing, but Corey Perry has not lived up to the expectations.
Do we think it's fair that the Eastern Conference has 2 more teams than the Western Conference because of this whole new realignment a couple years ago?
I don't think so.
I think they should have left it the same, or at least evened it out. Yeah. And if this team wants to do expansion with teams like in Las Vegas or something, obviously they need to go in the Western, but it needs to be done sooner than later. Yeah. And the San Jose Sharks lost 6 in a row now. They're in 4th place in that conference, and that division just showing how bad it is.
And then you have Couture, who's like, oh, yeah, he's back. We're going to get this back going. And
he just gets hurt again. So let's send to Zach to hear more about that injury and others.
Hi, my name is Zach Brooks, and I'm back with the injury updates after a week off. Like you guys said, Logan Couture returned from his foot injury last week, but finds himself right back on the injured reserve with another lower body injury. He's just one of many players who have returned just to get re-injured. Andre Palat returned last weekend, but won't travel with the Lightning during the upcoming road trip because of an unknown injury. The team will also be without playoff hero Tyler Johnson, who will miss the road trip for similar reasons. Carey Price has already suffered 3 separate leg injuries this season, and his latest issue will cost them at least 4 weeks. Islanders forward Ryan Strome was forced to leave the game against Columbus Saturday due to a concussion protocol, but is back practicing and could return sometime this week. Derek Stepan and Kevin Klein have also returned to practice for the Rangers. Finally, we end with another big injury as Chris Letang will miss roughly 3 weeks with an undisclosed injury. He has suffered many injuries over the last couple of seasons, and this will just add to the total. The Penguins have struggled on defense all year, so losing their leader on that side of the ice will definitely not help. That's going to do it for this week's injury report. Let's send it back to the guys.
Well, Zach, you just talked about the injuries, and a lot of those guys are really important to their teams. But Mike Johnson's been fired by the Penguins, and now the second coach in the last 3 years has been fired.
Yeah.
As Dan Bosman was fired a couple years ago.
Yeah, the locker room tension has been very high lately, and it hasn't been a stable locker room where you want your teammates all to connect with each other and you want to do things for your team when they've just been really caring about their, not stats, but like more so about themselves.
Exactly, and Evgeny Malkin has played well this year. He's actually taken over for Crosby as a star on this team, as he has 26 points in the last 28 games. But Crosby's still not playing well. He only has 19 points this year. But the big stat here is he has 6 goals. And that's not going to do it.
That's not going to do it, especially for someone who is supposed to be the best player in the NHL, and 6 goals is not going to do it.
I think his time of being the best player in the NHL might be over. But the goaltending for this team has actually been really good. Marc-Andre Fleury and Jeff Zatkoff have combined for the highest save percentage, and the Penguins lead that category in the league right now.
Well, Fleury is a Stanley Cup winner, so Fleury, you always know you have that impact with him.
But Fleury is not a good playoff goalie.
Sometimes he's just on and off, and especially when it comes to the playoffs, he's terrible.
Fleury, actually, I don't think he's that good at all. He's that goalie that seems to put up good stats, but he never gets tested. I don't know why, because that defense is not that good.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, they just lost Chris Letang, as Zach just said.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the Penguins are going to have to do a lot of things to get back in the playoff race. And now, speaking about that, the Metropolitan Division, it seems like a 3-team race right now. It seems over.
Yeah, between the Capitals, the Rangers, and the Islanders, it's going to be a really tight race. And if the Penguins want any chance to get there, they got to step it up soon because it's a really tight race. And the Islanders are running away with it right now.
The Islanders are running away with it. I mean, the Capitals lead by 2 points.
But the Islanders just went ahead of the Rangers, and they've been doing extremely well the past week or two.
I get that, but the Washington Capitals have 3 games in hand.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually don't think they can catch the Capitals.
I think they will.
I mean, talking about that, the Capitals, they seem like such a stronger team than them. Obviously, the Islanders have the 10-game point streak now, and they've played great, but the Washington Capitals are just they're a more complete team.
Yeah.
They have a better defense. They have more talent on the forwards. And the combo of goalie for the Islanders is probably better with Kreis and Halak, but Braden Holtby's the best goalie out of those 4 people.
You can't beat having Holtby, like a star goaltender on your team, because he's consistent every night, and you can always trust him.
Yeah, and the Devils, Penguins, Hurricanes, and Flyers, and the Blue Jackets, they are all at least 7 points behind those 3 teams right now. Yeah. Even though the Rangers have been struggling lately, they've still built themselves a pretty good lead at the beginning of the year. Yeah. And the teams on the top half of the division right now, they all are in the top 10 in the league in both penalty kill and power play, which is really important. And looking at the flip side, the teams on the bottom, most of them, are on the bottom half, besides the Devils, who are in the top 10 in both.
With Christmas only days away, let's send to our special guest who's in the North Pole.
Hi, I'm Joe Sorrentino, and I'm reporting live from the North Pole. Today we're going to be separating the teams who have been naughty and nice and giving them all gifts that they deserve. Today, okay, let's start off. Carolina, a folk tale, not a folk tale, a folk tale. If Folk keeps his play on the incline like he has been for the past couple of weeks, he will be the striving force for them to beat teams like the Canadiens again. And heck, even though they're looking really bad right now, they might make the playoffs if Folk keeps it real. Next, let's go with Vancouver. They need a facelift. Oh boy, this franchise is getting very old, and if they get the facelift that they need, they could be competitive in a couple of years. Next, Jersey, my least favorite place to deliver gifts to. They need new jerseys. Get it? They need new jerseys, meaning new players. Because personally, I like their current jerseys, but if they get new players, they could be a team that is a threat in the future. But for right now, they're looking grim. But if they keep up their defense and their goalies keep playing well, then they could be a team that's still a threat later on in the season. The New York Rangers, they need a time machine. They need to go all the way back to when they traded Martin St. Louis, or they traded for Martin St. Louis, and they traded away the man, Ryan Callahan. Why would you do that? I understand that St. Louis helped in the playoffs a little bit, but why would you do that? Pittsburgh, they need new socks. They need new socks to fill their coaching shoes. And I know that sounds cheesy, but it's true. They just fired their head coach, and now they replace him with a coach that hasn't really coached a lot at all. They need new socks to fill their coaching shoes. Winnipeg, they need bigger pads for their goalies. Their goalies have let in at least 3 goals a game on average, both their backup and their starter. What is this? Child's play? Winnipeg, you're an NHL team. Get over it and start saving things. Washington, let's be honest, they don't need anything because they're perfect. But they do need some greens and vegetables to surround their Russian dressing, who is Alex Ovechkin, because he is amazing and they're not supporting his play, okay? Last but least, the New York Islanders. They need train tickets because they have to take the train to the stadium every day, the Barclays Center, every day simply because they can't get public transportation to the stadium. And Jake, I'm so used to the cold weather up here that I don't even need a jacket, okay? So why don't you stop sending me to these freaking cold places and get me back in Miami? Goodbye.
Well, Joe, we're going to send you wherever we have to. Hot or cold, it really doesn't matter. But you were giving gifts out. One team that doesn't need a gift is the Bruins on the power play.
Yeah, their power play has been phenomenal lately. It goes back, they could possibly break the record for the Canadians in 77 and 78. It was
31.8.
Yeah.
And that team won the Cup that year and the President's Trophy. And the Bruins have a 30.8 right now, so an extra point, they could actually break that. Yeah. I don't see them winning the Cup because they're only 8th in the Eastern Conference right now. But that power play could upset teams in the playoffs. Yeah. And Patrice Bergeron's a very underrated player.
Yeah. He's their assistant captain, right? Because Chara's their captain.
Yeah.
Yeah, personally, I think that he will deserve the captain because I don't think Chara's kind of fading away now.
Chara's getting older. Eventually, Patrice is going to get that captain.
Yeah.
And Patrice leads the league in power play points right now, 15. And that's tied with none other than Patrick Kane, who obviously is amazing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the Habs won the Stanley Cup that year. We'll have to look out for the Bruins, see what they do.
And now it's time for our 3 stars of the week. Our 3rd star is Taylor Hall from Edmonton. He's had 8 points in his last 3 games. So it's been phenomenal lately.
Yeah, Taylor Hall, he also had that 4-point game against the Rangers over the weekend. And that was big for him. 2 goals, 2 assists in that game. Yeah. Helped them win 7-5 against the struggling Rangers. But he also, 4 games in a row now, multi-point games. Yeah. It's been incredible for Taylor Hall, who's helped Edmonton get this 5-game winning streak that we've talked about before.
And especially without
McDavid.
Yeah, McDavid. He's been taking the spotlight right now.
And McDavid could be back now in a month. So if Edmonton continues to play like this, they will make the playoffs.
And maybe get Nugent Hopkins start rolling.
Nugent Hopkins they might trade. And we haven't talked about that at all on this show. But them trading Nugent Hopkins for a defenseman will help them. A lot of people say he's a great player. But think about it if they get a guy like Travis Hamonic.
Yeah. And they lack in defense.
Yeah. I mean, Darnell Nurse is a prospect for that team. But he's their top 4 defenseman right now. And we saw a glimpse of him being a star and a really bad defenseman in that Ranger game. So I think they need to make a trade involving Nugent Hopkins to get a defenseman. The 2nd star of the week this week is Corey Crawford. He's playing absolutely amazing lately.
Yeah, I mean, with the defense he has in front of him, it's pretty hard not to be a great goaltender. You have Duncan Keith, Jarmelson.
Nick Jarmelson, yeah. And they lost Oduya over the offseason. But I think Trevor Van Riemsdyk's actually filled in well. I like him a lot.
And don't forget about Seabrook also.
Yeah, and Brett Seabrook. I did forget about him. I don't know how you can, but... Yeah. And then he's pretty much solidified his spot as a starting goaltender over Scott Darling. Yeah. And obviously there was questions about that during the Stanley Cup run last year.
Excuse me. If anyone thinks Scott Darling's going to win the starting job, that's...
At one point last year, everyone was saying Scott Darling was the answer.
Yeah, because what? Because Corey Crawford had a rough start to the playoffs, but then look what they ended up achieving.
They wound up beating Nashville, and people say that Scott Darling was the reason they did.
Yeah.
But who won the Stanley Cup? Who was playing when it mattered? Yeah. Exactly. I don't like Corey Crawford as a person, really. I've seen things about him. But you can't deny his skill. He's a really good player. Yeah. And over the last week, he's played 4 games, only given up 2 goals, and he had shutouts against Winnipeg and Vancouver, so he's been outstanding lately.
And the 1st star of the week is Justin Falk, defenseman from Carolina.
And Justin Falk single-handedly won my fantasy matchup this week against the best team in my league. But honestly, he's been a great defenseman this year. He has the third most points for a defenseman, most goals for a defenseman, and he has 12 goals, all in the power play. So he's definitely been a huge player for them.
Yeah, and he's the most important player to Carolina. He's getting better every single year as it goes, and he's just been increasing, and he's really developing to be a top defenseman in this league.
And over the last week, he has 4 goals and 3 assists. Yeah. So, I mean, you got to look at the trade deadline, and you got to say, if Carolina's out of it, do they try to get stuff for Justin Folk? He's a free agent next year. Yeah. And there's a lot of prospects out there, a lot of teams that'd be willing to get Justin Folk, but I don't think they should move him.
I don't think they should move him because every year almost is like a rebuilding stage for them where it's just been so long that I think that when they finally have a star potential like this, you might as well just keep them and try to grow around them, even though it's going to be hard, maybe take a year or two, but that's what you're going to have to do. That's what you have to sacrifice to get a good team. It's just. And
we're looking at a team right now led by Captain Eric Stahl. This team 10 years ago won the Stanley Cup, and they don't look anything like that team anymore. Yeah. They've really taken a spiral down.
Well, yeah, because you have the streaky goalie in Cam Ward, and then the backup
Eddie Lack.
Eddie Lack that's not gonna do good for you. It's not.
And the thing is, I don't see Carolina getting better because their prospect pool is not the deepest. Yeah. And trade needs to happen. I just don't think it should be Justin Folk moving. Well, that's gonna do it for this week's edition of NHL Unfiltered.
I'm Dominic Arbolino.
And I'm Jake DiMisa, signing out.
Denied, follow-up from Sheary, but canceled ahead on the pass from McQuaid to Talbot.